Good morning and welcome to the Piccalillian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. It's NFL Week 9 and we are ready for some football. I'm your host, Matt Lowry, and joining me are 25-year fantasy football veterans Henry the Commish Brick and the Professor Steve Wynn. What a jam-packed show we have in store for you today. We're going to cover injuries around the NFL, our Week 9 picks, our studs, duds, and sleepers, and a little contest for our listeners called Beat the Commish.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you can call in now at 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. Let's get things started. Commish, how'd you do last week in the Beat the Commish game?
Unbelievable. I came in second again. At least I'm getting it. At least I'm not falling in last like I started out this mess. But guess what? Every week someone is winning some money. It's $2 to play. The person that beats me by the biggest margin at the end of the Beat the Commish game on Sundays gets $50. If you open up an account, they're putting $10 free in your account. So basically, you're paying for free, and it looks like you can beat me every week. I'm coming in second. This week, I got it though. I got it wrapped up.
All right, Professor, what's going on with you?
We love that confidence, Commish. You keep that up, man. That's good stuff. Last week on the show, we were getting ready for Hurricane Sandy. I said hurricane prep was no reason to not be ready for your fantasy games. Then I forgot to take out one of my bye-week replacements, costing myself 9 points. So even the pros make boneheaded moves once in a while. I ended up losing that game. It wasn't the margin of difference. God, thank you for that. So, but you know, we're happy that everybody's back listening to us. Hurricane Sandy is in the rearview mirror. You know, America takes adversity and kicks it in the teeth. America takes adversity, kicks it in the teeth. New Jersey takes adversity, drives it out to the Pine Barrens and leaves it there. So,
All right. All right. Well, I want to remind everyone you can get all of the professor's great advice, including to do bye-week replacements, which apparently he doesn't take.
It was bringing somebody back from a bye. Real bonehead move. Bonehead.
All right. Well, you can get all of his advice as far as who to plug in for your bye-week replacements and all. It's all on our website at www.kickassfantasyfootball.com. Check it out. There's a lot of great free information up there. We update it throughout the week. We send out newsletters. You can sign up for the newsletter. It's free. We'll email you all week long, tell you who to pick up off of waiver wires, who to trade and trade for, and who to bye-week replacements.
Yeah. You know, we never tell you get your guys back from bye weeks. We probably should add a segment on that.
There you go. Make sure. We'll put a little blurb out. Don't be the professor. Get your guys off of bye week. All right. Hey, and well, before we get into the injury report, let's talk fantasy football trends at the half. We're halfway through, and what is going on there, Commish?
Well, after week 3, we're calling this bizarre season for fantasy football a bizarre season.
We were calling it Bizarro World because none of the top guys at any position were doing well. But now, where are we? We are back to normal. The top fantasy quarterbacks are shocker Robert Griffin, then Rodgers, Brady, and Breeze, and the next 4 are Matt Ryan, Peyton Manning, Matt Stafford, and Eli Manning. We are getting exactly what we predicted back in August. One surprise quarterback, the answers to the question around Peyton Manning, and your studs are delivering like studs. Who's the only real disappointments at QB this year, Commish?
You know what, Steve? Cam Newton is the big letdown, definitely going through the sophomore slump. Michael Vick seems to be more and more down on himself every week. That team just needs a leader, someone who's going to go after it, not what we've been getting. Good news is their schedule's definitely in their favor starting to, Monday night versus the Saints. If he can't get it done against them, it's time for him to be pulled. I think it's time for Foles, but I really think he does get it going on Monday night.
Yeah, there's no better get-well team than the Saints out there, except maybe the Redskins. So it's the right week to need to come back. Aside from Robert Griffin, Andrew Luck is the only other real surprise at quarterback. Nobody else is breaking into the top 10. So what do you go back to the draft and look at it? You say, I'm glad I drafted a quarterback high. We thought that maybe there was too much of a run, but there was not. At running back, the studs aren't letting us down either. Arian Foster and Ray Rice are both in the top 3. LaShawn McCoy is still a top 12 running back number 1. He's not in the top 3, but he's solid. The big story here, though, are the shockers in the top 10. Stephen Ridley is a top 10 running back. Alfred Morris, Trent Richardson, Doug Martin, young guys, top 10 running backs. What do you think of all these surprises at running back?
You know what, Steve? I say it every year. Don't panic. Studs are studs are studs. They're all going to get their numbers regardless of the matchup. First year running backs making impact, like Doug Martin. You know what? Great running back. He's a downhill runner, loves to run between the tackles. Unfortunately, he just lost both of his starting guards. So the Bucks, they signed a couple guys off the practice squad. They do have a great schedule versus the run the rest of the way, but love the production we've been getting out of him.
Yeah, you get a surprise like Alfred Morris, but running backs you can predict when they're going to take off. Wide receiver, though, here's one. We were saying it back in August. Wide receivers are a commodity. There's not really a whole lot of difference after the first couple great guys, and Calvin Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald are barely in the top 20 for fantasy right now, while Vincent Jackson, Reggie Wayne, Demaryius Thomas all in the top 10. Victor Cruz, number 1 at wide receiver. Predictable?
You know what? The big surprise here for me, Steve, is Reggie Wayne. Early in the year, we all thought he was going to leave the Colts, go sign with Peyton Manning and the Broncos. He ends up staying with Luck. Who looks like a fourth-year quarterback, which is just awesome. In most scoring formats, Wayne is actually certainly a number 1 wide receiver. Just a great surprise for all us fantasy owners.
Well, surprise to almost all fantasy owners.
You can also say, of course, the commission would expect Calvin Johnson to drop, right? Commish, go ahead. Well,
listen, Calvin Johnson, I said it from the beginning, the Madden curse, okay? And he's definitely feeling the ill effects of that.
He's feeling some minor effects. Maybe it's a Madden cold rather than the flu. I don't know if it's really a curse. Finally, tight end. We talked a lot about that back in August. There were only 2 guys worth taking anywhere early in the draft. And guess what? Rob Gronkowski is outscoring the next best tight end by 30 points after 8 games. That is 4.5 points per game. That is huge. That kind of difference. He is worth the number 1 or the number 2 pick in the draft. If you were to draft today, you would take him number 2 after Arian Foster. If I was writing up the article, which I do. So, almost double the points of Jimmy Graham, Jason Witten, triple Antonio Gates. That's it. I mean, he's redefining the position.
He really is. I mean, it turns out Gronk shows no ill effects of the injury from the season before. Jimmy Graham, who was touted as the number 1 tight end going into the season, has been suffering with ankle injuries, missing games, missing time. The real surprise for me is the awesome play of Heath Miller of the Pittsburgh Steelers, just playing outstanding and giving top 5 performances every week.
Yeah, he has been the model of consistency all season long. Definitely a solid guy that probably wasn't drafted in a lot of leagues. So, I want to sum up for our listeners out there. What does all this mean? You got 4 lessons. Your studs are your studs at quarterback. You get a couple surprises, but you can count on that production. You can find studs at running back in the middle rounds. Who did I walk out of our draft together with at running back? Adrian Peterson, Trent Richardson, Doug Martin, Reggie Bush. 4 top 15 guys, all cheap. You can find them cheap at running back. Wide receivers are a commodity. And finally, Rob Gronkowski is redefining the tight end position.
Let me tell you, when you had mentioned taking him in the first round, there were a lot of people laughing at that, saying you don't take a tight end in the first round. But look at his numbers and argue that you don't take him in the first round.
Awesome you could say number 2 is a little high if you take the positions into consideration, but definitely first round. Top half of the first round. Crazy.
All right. Well, before we get into the injuries, I want to remind everyone you can give us a call with any questions that you have, any lineup questions or bye-week replacement questions. Number is 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. And let's go to the phone lines now. We got Frank from Baltimore on the phone. Frank, welcome to the show.
Good morning, gentlemen. I have a couple of questions. One question I have is, you're talking about studs or quarterbacks. I drafted Stafford pretty high in 2 leagues, and currently he's on my bench in 1 league. In the other league, I can't decide between him and Josh Freeman at Tampa. And the other question I have is about Calvin Johnson, and I have him in 2 leagues, and I've been benching him the last couple of weeks. Is there any suggestions about either one of those cases?
Well, Stafford has actually made the comeback. He's had some bad weeks, but he's had a couple good ones lately, so he's turning his season around. Josh Freeman, though, is a great play this week. If you feel a little burned by Stafford, Freeman is not a bad play, but I have Stafford ranked higher this week.
Yeah, I mean, Stafford, hard guy to bench, especially after his 4-touchdown performance last week. He goes up against Jacksonville, who's just horrible defense. Now, Calvin Johnson, you know what? I'm a big believer in this man curse. He did not practice all week. Looks like he will go today. However, you know, how much they'll need him, who knows? I mean, they should beat Jacksonville handily. So I'm going to go Stafford there. I think you have a much better play. They do not have a running game, so they will be passing the ball quite a bit.
Frank, I'm going to give you a little spoiler for later in the show. I got Titus Young as one of my plays this week, and I don't think that Johnson gets much work because it's Jacksonville. They should have this game well in hand, and they don't want to risk him.
Yeah, I appreciate it because I have receivers like Reggie Wayne on my bench in that same league, and I have really top receivers. I'm really receiver heavy in both those leagues, so I have definitely adequate replacements for him. Yeah,
I would hold him in reserve this week. There's a chance he goes off huge, and that's always a possibility, but I think the risk is way too high, and if you got good backups, by all means, play him.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks for the calls. All right, guys, let's get into some injuries and news around the NFL. Professor, what do you got for us?
Okay, well, Titans starting quarterback Jake Locker limited again Friday, won't be able to start. Matt Hasselbeck gets a start again. It's going to be a rough outing for him, but that's what's going on in Tennessee.
Giants running back Ahmad Bradshaw, questionable with that foot injury, did not practice Friday, usually a telltale sign for Sunday. Look for Andre Brown to get more significant play. Bradshaw cannot go.
And you always have to be wary of David Wilson sneaking in there, too. So Steeler running back Rashard Mendenhall and Jonathan Dwyer did not practice on Friday. Neither is expected to play. I'm a little surprised on the Dwyer news, but it looks like Isaac Redman gets the chance and is expected to start. It's a crapshoot there in Pittsburgh, and the problem is whoever does start gets some good production. So,
absolutely. Darren Sproles looks like we'll miss 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand that required surgery. I look for Pierre Thomas to have a much larger role moving forward.
Yeah, that's brutal for our PPR players out there. Colt rookie tight end Kobe Fleener is out. Not a whole lot more to say there.
Yeah, Dolphin starting wide receiver Brian Hartline has a groin and a hamstring injury, questionable today, was limited in practice all week. His final status will be decided in pre-game warm-ups.
Okay, we mentioned Calvin Johnson not practicing all week. He is expected to play. I don't expect him to perform. I think Titus Young is the guy. If he's been dropped, go get him.
Jordy Nelson will be a game-time decision with that lingering hamstring injury. Look for Randall Cobb and James Jones to continue to fill the void versus Arizona today.
And finally, it's time to give up on Javid Best. He was a guy that I was waiting to come back and perform, but it looks like he's out for the entire 2012 season. Multiple concussions. Give up hope. Move on.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to open up the phone lines, keep them going. The number again, 609-573-ESPN. We're also going to get into our Dude, I'm Sorry segment. You're listening to the Pickalillian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN.
We're famous for a buffalo wing. The Pickalillian. When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king. The Pickalillian. Pull up a chair, grab a table, enjoy the atmosphere. Have something good to eat or have yourself around and cheer. You can't stop it, stop back. Great food, great drinks where everybody is a friend. You can't stop it, stop back. The Pickalillian.
It isn't fall without the famous Pickalillian. Catch all of your favorite football action at the Pickalillian. Check out the Pick's brand new menu featuring homemade buffalo chicken egg rolls, buffalo shrimp, scallops, and the tender Pick burger. They go great with one of the Pick's ice-cold on-tap beers. Catch every football game at the Pick. Enjoy an awesome meal while you watch your favorite team. The Pickalillian, a Jersey tradition since the 1920s. On Route 206 in Chemong. If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Pickalillian.
Don't let your fantasy issues become a reality. Fantasy Judgment is the premier dispute resolution service for all fantasy sports leagues. Led by attorney Michael Stein, the Supreme Court of Fantasy Judgment will resolve any and all issues or conflicts that arise in fantasy leagues. This includes disputed trades, collusion, abuse of power by league commissioners, lineup and roster errors, draft issues, score discrepancies, and interpretation of league rules. We alleviate the burden for league commissioners and allow everyone to focus on winning their leagues rather than arguing over disputes. Visit www.fantasyjudgment.com.
Fantasy football owners, it's draft time, and kickassfantasyfootball.com makes it easy.
How do we make it easy?
Projections from the experts, cheat sheets with your scoring rules.
What else?
Articles all season long, waiver wire picks, trade advice, everything you need to win a championship.
How about a free judgment from fantasyjudgment.com, a $15 value?
Now we're talking.
Subscribe today for just $9.95 and we'll throw in a complimentary cruise for two to the Bahamas.
Cruise to a championship with kickassfantasyfootball.com.
Fantasy Football, the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Join the Professor, the Commish, and Fantasy Insider Matt Lowry for the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Got a question? Call us. Who should you start? Who should you trade? Who's great? And who just plain sucks? The Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. On the web at kickassfantasyfootball.com. Yeah, kickassfantasyfootball.com. And every Sunday at 9 a.m.
I felt that one way up here.
Right here on 97.3 ESPN.
And welcome back to the Pick-a-Lillian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Shows. Hey, our phone lines are open. If you need help with any last-minute line questions, the number, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. Okay, guys, it is time for my favorite segment, Dude, I'm Sorry, where we admit where we messed up last week. Commish, who you sorry for?
Matt, I'm sorry for getting tricked into believing that Coach Reed can go 14-0 after a bye. I said Mike Vick should light it up, and the only thing that got lit up was his job. Nick Foles will be probably playing before the season is out. For Mike Vick, his play last week was just horrible. Dude, yeah. No, I'm sorry.
What the hell were you thinking?
I don't know.
I don't know if Vic gets pulled too soon, but as soon as they are out of the playoff race, his job is done in Philadelphia. Yeah. So, I feel terrible. I was trying to put it off as long as I possibly could. I feel terrible about my dud of the week last week. I called Trent Richardson a dud. Unless you were desperate, keep him on your bench.
Here comes the spin.
I was desperate. No, this isn't spin. I feel terrible. I was desperate. I played him. He delivered number 3 running back performance of the week. Not only did I tell all of our listeners, stay away from this guy, I didn't, and I got those points. I am so sorry.
Stop whining. Stop it.
All right. Well, on the flip side of that, we got the who are you the man about, Professor? What was the home run you hit last week?
Hey, Peyton Manning turned in his third 3-touchdown game in a row, his 5th 300-yard game in a row. My quarterback calls were all solid last week, but the Manning call was by far my best, and for that, I am
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. Well, to have them answered immediately.
That's great stuff. On that same team, I love Demaryius Thomas as my stud of the week last week, and he paid off big time, especially in PPR leagues. He ended up with 7 catches for $137 and a touchdown. I also loved Willis McGahee as a must start. He ended up with a total of 155 yards and a touchdown. Yes, I'm the man.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Come on, you know the Governor quotes are old school, man. You got to get the Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson and Taken. I have skills. I will find you. I will kill you.
Wrong.
All right, guys. Well, it is now time to get into our Pick-a-Lilly picks of the week. Hey, everyone knows to start the studs. You start Arian Foster and Aaron Rodgers. These are guys that are farther down the list that are great picks this week that you got to start. Why don't you lead us out at quarterback? What do you got for us, Commish? Who is your quarterbacks?
Well, I'm giving them one more shot. Michael
This is
Vick.
what the stanzas sound like. Boo.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't you just say he was your dude I'm sorry pick, and you're going back to him again?
I'm going back to the well one last time. Ooh. He does play the Saints Monday night. If he can't get it done Monday night, like I said earlier, I'm ready to pull the plug, but I'm giving him one more shot.
Okay, well, Carson Palmer gets the Bucs defense. I am surprised the Commish wasn't all over this play. He has been beaten on this D all season long. Carson Palmer is going to get his chance to beat on this D, and you should too.
Matthew Stafford, I talked about it earlier. He goes up against Jacksonville, gives up the 6th most fantasy points to the quarterback. Last week he hit for 4 TDs. Keep him in your lineup again this week.
Hey, Andrew Luck should surprise no one as a starter this week against the Dolphins. The Fish are the most thrown on team in the NFL. 44 attempts a game is what they're averaging. Attempts will turn into points for Luck. He has got a lot of good targets. Start him.
Matthew Schaub goes up against Buffalo. They gave up the 2nd most points to the quarterback. He hits everyone in this game. Andre Johnson, Owen Daniels, and even Kevin Walter will get in the mix.
Your lips to God's ears, man. I'm starting him for Tom Brady this week, so I hope you're right. How can Cam Newton fall any further? The Redskins D is a way to stop that. This year's Cam Newton faces last year's Cam Newton, but I'm going with last year's model and getting some extra juice this week, right?
Absolutely. At tight end, I got Heath Miller going up against the New York Football Giants. Miller faces a defense who gives up the 8th most fantasy points to the tight end. They just can't figure out how to do it effectively. So keep Miller in your lineup. He should get it done big time again this week.
Jermaine Gresham of the Bengals gets the Broncos this week. They have one of the worst tight end defenses. AJ Green will be blanketed by Champ Bailey all day, so look for a few extra looks Jermaine Gresham's way by Andy Dalton. Solid.
Owen Daniels against Buffalo. Guess what? Buffalo's defense is horrible, and Owen Daniels looking like the number 1 target there, so love him as a start this week.
Yeah, he's coming on lately, and Greg Olson's another guy who's coming on lately. He's a beneficiary of that Redskins D that's so beat up. I feel like maybe I'm picking on the Redskins at this point. Is that
you should be.
Yeah.
How about, I went with Vic earlier at quarterback. I got to go Brent Selleck. I think it's his get-well receiver. He will find the end zone Monday night against the Saints.
Okay, you need a little bye-week help at tight end. Go with Logan Paulson. He's Fred Davis's backup. He's probably out there on your wire. He's got 4 catches in each of the last 2 games. That's respectable. He's getting some decent yards. Why not?
All right, good stuff there. So we got through quarterback and tight end. And I want to remind everyone, if you have any lineup help you need, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. And in fact, let's go to the phone lines now. We got Vinny from Philly on the phone. Vinny, welcome to the show.
Hey guys.
Hey, Vinny.
I got a question here. Obviously, I already started Jamal Charles and Dwayne Bowe.
Man.
I have obviously Ray Rice. I'm not moving. I could start Trent Richardson, and I have Josh Gordon or James Jones. I could only start 2. Well, so it's either Trent Richardson, and I got Josh Gordon or James Jones.
Well, you're definitely starting Trent Richardson. He is a great play this week. He's almost, he's almost getting to the point where we can't pick him anymore. He's that good. So it's not surprising. You know what? If you need to swing for the fences, and it sounds like you do, I'm liking Gordon this week.
Wow.
If you're starting from the hole, yeah.
Well, what do you think, Commish?
You know what? Baltimore's defense is horrible. Cleveland's home, but I will only go Josh Gordon if Jordy Nelson is playing. If he's not playing, I think I'm going to go James Jones here because he will get a lot of work against Arizona. That's what they're going to be doing, passing the ball a ton at home in Green Bay. That's a slam dunk, I think. So I think you got to watch that injury report up until the end.
Now, Vinny, you may not have been listening last week because of the storm and everything, but you were my man for the advice I had given you the week before.
And then I went out. I didn't hear that part, and then I wound up getting, having to take care of business.
All right.
Nice.
All right,
thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Vinny. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We got Jake from Manahawkin on the phone. Jake, welcome to the show. What's your question?
Yeah, I got Calvin Johnson, start him every week, but this week he's questionable. He might be limited to 3rd down plays. I got Ryan Broyles on my bench just in case, and Titus Young's still out there on the waiver wire in my league. I don't know what to do. I guess I could wait till 1 o'clock to see what he's going to be doing for sure, but I'm still up in the air bad. What should I do?
I would go get Young right now.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. Calvin Johnson, if the Lions have any sort of control over this game, Calvin Johnson won't see the field at all. And Young, as long as his head's together, he can certainly make a difference out there. Who was the second receiver that you mentioned? I didn't get Broyles. Okay, I would definitely go.
Broyles, I picked him up. Figured somebody had Titus Young in my league, but they had dropped him. I don't know why they did that, but I picked up Broyles, but now Titus is still out there.
Yeah, definitely Young over among those three.
Absolutely, Titus Young is your play.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Let's go back to the phone lines. We got Angie from Delaware on the phone. Angie, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you guys doing today?
Not too bad. Great. What do you got for us?
I have a question at my flex spot. I have Pettigrew started as my flex, but I have Andre Brown on my bench. So I'm just thinking Pettigrew has more of a chance against Jacksonville than Brown against Pittsburgh defense, but I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? That's a tough one, Andre. This is your flex, so Andre Brown is, you always like the regular performance. I don't know that he's the sole ball carrier though, and Pettigrew got a lot of focus. Is this a PPR?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to lean to Pettigrew.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with the professor there. Pettigrew is probably the better play, especially with Calvin Johnson not practicing all week. Even if he does play, which he looks like he will, he probably will be limited. They're probably not going to need him very much today against Jacksonville. So Pettigrew should be the better play there versus Andre Brown.
Okay, great. I'll leave it the way it is then. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Angie.
Thanks for the call. All right, when we come back, we're going to keep the phone lines going. Again, that number is 609-573-3776. We're also going to get through our Piccalilli picks of the week. Call us if you need any last-minute lineup help. You're listening to the Piccalilli Inn Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN.
Fantasy Football, the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Join the Professor, the Commish, and Fantasy Insider Matt Lowry for the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Got a question? Call us. Who should you start? Who should you trade? Who's great? And who just plain sucks? The Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. On the web at kickassfantasyfootball.com. Yeah, kickassfantasyfootball.com. And every Sunday at 9 a.m.
I felt that one way up here.
Right here on 97.3 ESPN.
Now is your chance to experience the new game that's transforming fantasy sports. Fantasy Player Exchange is a new daily game that allows you to compete against friends and fantasy foes for cash prizes. With FPX, you can select 5 players from any active sport. Sign up now at fantasyplayerexchange.com for your chance to beat ESPN Radio's Henry the Commish Brick and win $1,000 cash. Go to fantasyplayerexchange.com to sign up and play today. Remember, that's fantasyplayerexchange.com.
Fantasy football owners, it's draft time, and kickassfantasyfootball.com makes it easy.
How do we make it easy?
Projections from the experts, cheat sheets with your scoring rules.
What else?
Articles all season long, waiver wire picks, trade advice, everything you need to win a championship.
How about a free judgment from fantasyjudgment.com, a $15 value?
Now we're talking.
Subscribe today for just $9.95 and we'll throw in a complimentary cruise for 2 to the Bahamas.
Cruise to a championship with kickassfantasyfootball.com.
We're famous for our buffalo wings. The Piccalilli. When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king. The Piccalilli. Pull up a chair, grab a table, enjoy the atmosphere. Have something good to eat or have yourself a round of cheer. If you can't stop in, stop back. Great food, great drinks where everybody is a friend. You can't stop in, stop back. The Piccalilli Inn.
It isn't fall without the famous Piccalilli Inn. Catch all of your favorite football action at the Piccalilli Inn. Check out the Pick's brand new menu featuring homemade buffalo chicken egg rolls, buffalo shrimp, scallops, and the tender Pick burger. They go great with one of the Pick's ice-cold on-tap beers. Catch every football game at the Pick. Enjoy an awesome meal while you watch your favorite team. The Piccalilli Inn, a Jersey tradition since the 1920s. On Route 206 in Chemong. If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalilli Inn.
And welcome back to the Piccalilli Inn Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Hey, the phone lines are open. If you need any help, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. You can also check us out online at www.kickassfantasyfootball.com to help get your lineup set. All right, guys, it's time to get back to our Piccalilli picks of the week and get into the wide receivers. What do you got for us, Commish?
Going to go with V. Jackson. Okay, he is one of those on and off guys. This week is an on week. he plays a horrible Oakland secondary. Great start for your team.
Hey, Titus Young, welcome back to Fantasy Relevance. Titus Young gets the Jaguars. He was on fire last week. As we mentioned in the calls, you start him.
Okay, I'm sticking with the Jacksons. Deshaun Jackson, I like him getting the deep ball this week. I don't think anyone can cover him on the Saints secondary.
I love that pick. That was my first pick for wide receiver, and I opened up the file, and there it is. The commission beating me to him.
Great minds think
love that play.
So you agree with that one now?
Oh, I agree. Right. V-Jack is awesome. Commission's got just all-star receivers this week. I don't want to spoil this third one. Anquan Bolden ripped the Browns for 131 yards already this year, and they are down at defensive back. Torrey Smith will be blanketed, so Bolden will see a lot of targets. Get him in your lineup.
All right, I'm going to go there. Decker versus the Bengals. Manning has been getting it done every week. Decker easily finds the end zone and over 100 yards this week against the Bengals.
And on the other side of that V-Jack's game, we got Darius Hayward-Bay. He gets the nod this week. The Raiders-Bucks Battle of the Pirates should be a shootout featuring subpar defenses.
I love that pick. I actually picked him up. I am going to roll with him this week there.
What is this whole kumbaya moment y'all are having?
Man,
just saying, he's great picking. Normally y'all are fighting the whole way through this.
It was you.
Okay.
And you're back, and it'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. All right, running back. I got Willis McGahee against the Bengals. I'm sticking with this Bronco team. It looks like a theme here. I had him last week. Love him again this week. Great matchup. He gets it done big time.
Hey, guess what? Jonathan Stewart is officially the featured back in Carolina now. He got 21 touches last week. Much less of a timeshare. Yay for that. So the Skins D is a lot worse than the Bears. Expect his stats to rise accordingly. I'm thinking he's getting 120 total yards this week, which is fantastic for a guy in Stewart's spot.
All right, sticking with themes. It is a theme. If you have an Eagle, play him against the Saints Monday night. I got LaShawn McCoy, who is a great start against the Saints.
Yeah, the only Eagle the commission left over for me was Bryce Brown and Alex Henry. So, slim pickings. I got Rashad Jennings, though. He's been solid in recent weeks against tough Ds. He's filling in nicely for Maurice Jones-Drew. Now he gets the Lions. He's a decent start as a running back number 2 for you.
Alfred Morris goes up against Matt's team, the Carolina Panthers. A very beatable matchup for him, as he has been getting it done every week. This week will be no different.
Trent Richardson goes from dud to pick of the week this week. A big performance like he had last week will do that. The Ravens D, in case you've been in the dark for the last week, and some people have, they're bad now. So play against them.
So you flipped from your dud of the week and are now calling him a stud. And meanwhile, the commish is sticking with his dud of the week.
His misfire last week. The commish is what we call in gambling doubling down.
That's right.
On his mistake.
So basically, it's so he doesn't have to rewrite his dude I'm sorry for next week. Just read the same lines all over again.
Good for the show, bad for my heart if the Eagles lose. So, I hope he doesn't have to rewrite that.
All right. Well, we got one more set of Piccalilli picks to go through. Everett, our favorite bartender over at the Piccalilli Inn on Route 206 in Chemung, New Jersey, is on the phone with us. Everett, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Everett, I just want to be, jump right to it. The building is fine, and the fryers where you make the wings are fine, right? From the store?
Everything is on. Everything is good. There was
all right. Thank God.
I was worried. I was very worried, Everett. It was something I was really losing sleep over. Hey, Everett. Before we get into the picks, you guys have a big bonfire coming up in early December. Eagles Dallas on a Thursday night, right?
Eagles Dallas, we're having a bonfire. We're having a good time. We're going to have a big game for it because the Eagles fans in the area say that we don't do anything, and we just wanted to show them that we do. if come out strong, support your team, and we're going to have this big bonfire going on.
Okay, and that's a Sunday night, not a Thursday night. Thursday night is the regular bonfires over there, but a bonfire with an Eagles Dallas game. I got a very strong feeling you guys will do some decent business that night. That's a must visit time. So speaking of musts, let's get into Everett's picks. Everett, who's your quarterback this week?
How about the guy from your swashbuckling pirate game. Mr. Josh Freeman. He's a 3-touchdown machine apparently.
Yeah, he's definitely a good play this week.
You know what? I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Pick. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
All right, reach it.
Okay, how about running back, Ev?
Well, as a running back, I'm thinking Mr. Reggie Bush gets back on track and gets another touchdown. I know he's been getting less and less carries a little bit, but they're inside the dome against a very beatable Colts team. I think he does. I think he has a good day.
Yeah, that's good stuff. The Colts do give up a ton to the running back. Great pick.
Yeah, we'll never argue against a Bush pick on this show.
We love Bush.
We're all over that one. Finally, wide receiver Everett.
How about Mr. Andre Johnson gets back on track and scores his third touchdown of the year against the Buffalo Bills?
That's another your lips to God's ears. I'm starting him in another league, and he has been a little disappointing as the season's going on. I'm hoping for Houston to come on. In fact, I think we got a Super Bowl preview coming up. Go ahead. Sorry, Everett.
Oh no, I was going to say that the only reason is I hope that the yardage that he's been getting amounts to something. I mean, I'm looking for anything here. He's really been killing me this year.
Well, I have to say, I really like these picks. Everett really, all three of those. I can't argue with any of that.
Yeah, Everett has
he's stepping up his game.
He has had very many solid weeks. I think his last bad week might have been week 2, and heck, I've had bad weeks in between then and now. So
Everett, are you looking for
solid.
a job? The professor's on his way out the door.
Good stuff, Everett. So what do we got on tap and on special over at the pick today?
Well, on our specials today, we have our $3 green bottle specials during the Eagles game.
All right.
During the Eagles game, that will be on Monday. We also have our beer specials. All Coors Light, Bud Light, drafts are $1.95 for the pint and $6.95 for the pitcher. And then any Bud and Bud Light bottles are $2.25.
Nice.
There you go.
There's a lot of options you have.
Yeah, we got Steelers Giants today. It's gonna be a great game to go watch out the pick. Ice cold beer. Chat with Everett about some fantasy. Great stuff.
Big time. Should be a good turnout tonight.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of a team that doesn't get played on our local television stations through Comcast, head on out to the pick. They've got screens up. Every game that's going on is up on a screen. They got beer specials, food specials, and of course world famous wings. And, everything Buffalo, and the commission is partial to the scallops.
Love the scallops, man. They are the best.
So, make sure you get on out to the Piccolilli Inn, visit with Everett, enjoy the games, and, hey, come on out for that big bonfire. Eagles Dallas, going to be a party.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Everett.
Talk to you next week, man.
Yep. All right. Before we go to break, let's open the phone lines back up. And again, if you have any lineup questions, you need some help, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. All right, we got Eugene, our bacon man, is on the phone.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Eugene.
I can't wait till Sunday to hear my favorite show.
All right.
I've won 3 straight weeks in a row.
Nice. There you go.
That's what we like to hear, Eugene.
I'd like to know if Deshaun should go in there today. Deshaun Jackson. Will he do many justice or what?
Absolutely. Love him.
Start him without a doubt. He's got a shot at being the a top 5 guy this week. That's a fantastic play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's what I need to know.
All right. There you go.
Start him without a doubt, man.
All right, well, when we come back, we're going to keep the phone lines open. Again, that number, 609-573-3776. Call us if you need any last-minute lineup help. We're also going to get into some of our reaches of the week, and we still have our studs, duds, and sleepers. You're listening to the Piccolilli Inn Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN.
Fantasy Football, the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Join the Professor, the Commish, and Fantasy Insider Matt Lowry for the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Got a question? Call us. Who should you start? Who should you trade? Who's great? And who just plain sucks? The Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. On the web at kickassfantasyfootball.com. Yeah, kickassfantasyfootball.com. And every Sunday at 9 a.m.
I felt that one way up here.
Right here on 97.3 ESPN.
We're We're famous for our buffalo wings. The Piccalilli. When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king. The Piccalilli. Pull up a chair, grab a table, enjoy the atmosphere. Have something good to eat or have yourself a round of cheer. You can't stop in, stop back. Great food, great drinks where everybody is a friend. You can't stop in, stop back. The Piccalilli Inn.
It isn't fall without the famous Piccalilli Inn. Catch all of your favorite football action at the Piccalilli Inn. Check out the Pick's brand new menu featuring homemade buffalo chicken egg rolls, buffalo shrimp, scallops, and the tender Pick Burger. They go great with one of the Pick's ice-cold on-tap beers. Catch every football game at the Pick. Enjoy an awesome meal while you watch your favorite team. The Piccalilli Inn, a Jersey tradition since the 1920s. On Route 206 in Chemong. If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalilli Inn.
Fantasy football owners, it's draft time, and kickassfantasyfootball.com makes it easy.
How do we make it easy?
Projections from the experts, cheat sheets with your scoring rules.
What else?
Articles all season long, waiver wire picks, trade advice, everything you need to win a championship.
How about a free judgment from fantasyjudgment.com, a $15 value?
Now we're talking.
Subscribe today for just $9.95 and we'll throw in a complimentary cruise for 2 to the Bahamas.
Cruise to a championship with kickassfantasyfootball.com.
Don't let your fantasy issues become a reality. Fantasy Judgment is the premier dispute resolution service for all fantasy sports leagues. Led by attorney Michael Stein, the Supreme Court of Fantasy Judgment will resolve any and all issues or conflicts that arise in fantasy leagues. This includes disputed trades, collusion, abuse of power by league commissioners, lineup and roster errors, draft issues, score discrepancies, and interpretation of league rules. We alleviate the burden for league commissioners and allow everyone to focus on winning their leagues rather than arguing over disputes. Visit www.fantasyjudgment.com. And welcome back to the Piccalilli and Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Hey, the phone lines are open. Give us a call if you need any help from our experts with your last-minute lineup questions. The number again, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. You can also go to our website, kickassfantasyfootball.com, to get help with your lineup. Hey, it's great stuff, and we have a great promotion going right now. You can get half off the rest of the season with promo code FANTASY. Just type that into the promo code box. Great stuff there. And sign up for our newsletter. It is free, goes out several times a week, and tells you who to trade for, who to pick up off our waiver wires. It's great stuff. Check it out. Again, that's www.kickassfantasyfootball.com. All right, let's go to the phone lines real quick. We got Kyle from Atlantic City on the phone. Kyle, welcome to the show. What do you got for us?
I'm trying to decide between Denarius Moore and Victor Cruz in a standard league.
Wow, that's a great problem to have. I mean, how do you bench Victor Cruz? He's at home. He's against Pittsburgh. Their defense definitely not scary. Although Moore has a great matchup this week against Tampa Bay, you just can't bench Victor Cruz.
Yeah, he's the number one guy in the league so far. You gotta play him.
I'm curious, how is that your problem? I mean,
well, yeah, who's the number 3?
Vincent Jackson.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a problem.
Okay.
Vincent Jackson's a top 5, top 10 guy, so Moore is still the guy that I would keep on the bench.
Congratulations on your championship.
Well, at least a wide receiver.
Yeah. You got it there.
He could be starting Jay Cutler at quarterback for all we know. So, I have.
It's between Cam Newton and Matt Hasselbeck with Jay Clocker in the.
Okay, so you are feeling pain at quarterback.
Okay, but yeah, wide receiver, you got it. I mean, you're set. All right, there you go, Kyle.
Also, do you guys have any idea about in our league, Jordy Nelson? What's he looking like?
I think he's unlikely to play right now. I would say he's only got about a 20% chance. If you got to put your lineup in now, count on him not being there. If you have time to look at half an hour before game time and get those final injury reports, you can be 100% sure. But I'd say bench him and get Jones and Cobb out there.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call, Kyle. And remember, if you got any questions, again, the number 609-573-3776. All right, Professor, before we get into our Reaches of the Week, brought to you by the FantasyPlayerExchange.com, play daily multi-sport fantasy against your friends for as little as $2 by picking 5 players of any sport and compete for cash at FantasyPlayerExchange.com.
Okay, our bye week teams this week are the Rams, Jets, Patriots, and 49ers. You know, in years past, you wouldn't care about the Rams and Jets being off. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
But or the 49ers for that matter. But all of these teams, significant implications for your fantasy lineups. For the Rams, you got Bradford, Steven Jackson, Darrell Richardson out at running back. Wide receiver, not as big a deal. Gibson, Kendricks, not a lot going on there. The Jets, the big loss is Sean Green.
Can you believe it?
I can't. I honestly can't.
Shout out to my son, Sean Green.
Yeah. It's been 2 years of unrequited love from the commish to Sean Green, but in the last few weeks he's been on. This week he gets the week off. Maybe they'll go back to being their mediocre selves after the bye. So
Pats lose Brady. We have no Tom Brady today. No Stephen Ridley. No Wes Welker. Brandon Lloyd's off. The Gronk and Hernandez. So big loss there for fantasy. So make sure they're out of your lineup. They are on a bye.
That is 4 guys that are in the top 10s at their position. So you really need to make sure that you get those guys out of your lineup. Get some reasonable replacements in. Finally, 49ers. Alex Smith. Not too many people are starting him. Frank Gore, though, been on fire lately. You got to get him out of your lineup. Vernon Davis been a top 5 tight end. Got to get him out. And Crabtree and Moss not setting any world on fire anywhere either. So just make sure you get those guys out and get people in. And now let's get into
our reaches of the week. All right, yeah, you know the studs that you got to play, but hey, they just mentioned some of the bye week guys. Of these guys are out for you, and you got to reach deep. You need some help. These are some guys that can help you out this week. Professor, what do you got for us?
Well, as I mentioned, the Arizona D is no longer intimidating. Frank Gore tore through them last week, and Frank Gore has been only okay this year. So Alex Green, he's not Frank Gore. He's barely Frank Zappa, but he's the starter, and the Packers will be looking to kill the clock late. So get Alex Green into your lineup. He'll get a lot of carries. Carries are production. He's a decent reach.
I also have a couple great running backs at reach positions this week. How about Isaac Redmond? Looks like he will get to start over Jonathan Dwyer this week due to an injury. Running backs are scarce. If you need him, he's got a decent matchup against the Giants. And he could end up getting him, I'm thinking, 80 yards and a TD. I also like Jacquizz Rodgers. He's really getting it going, especially compared to his counterpart, Michael Turner. Looks like the wheels fell off Turner last week. Not only do I like Rodgers to reach this week versus the Cowboys tonight, I like him the rest of the way.
Yeah, that's a good play. Jacquizz Rodgers is a sleeper from the preseason that we've been waiting to wake up. Here he is, folks. You know what? I love a who dat on this show. I love finding a guy that people look at me going, who the hell are you talking about? Steven Gostkowski is on a bye this week. Greg the Leg Zerline. You got a bunch of kickers that are out. How about Kai Forbath?
Who that? And are we talking about kicker? I know I've been gone for 2 weeks, but we're talking about kickers now on the show?
We got 4 top 12 guys out on bye.
It's not crazy to people you're not here about.
Kai Forbath is the Redskins kicker. I love the name. You know what? He's actually been pretty good. And if you need a plug start for a kicker on a bye, meet Kai. Kai will face the weak Carolina D. He will get his chances.
All right. Sounds good. Let's go back to the phone lines. We got Elliot from Delaware on the phone. Elliot, welcome to the show. What do you got for us?
Hey, fellas. How you doing this morning?
All right.
First, I'd like to say I got people calling in from my work and my league trying to get strategy from you guys, and I guess it's good for you, but now they're taking my advantage away from me.
Oh, man. That's a compliment. We'll take that. Yeah. You know, if you can give us some kind of code of these guys are, maybe we can help you out a little, Elliot.
We'll give them some bad advice.
Might have to work on that. Hey, my question is, I got Mike LaShore from Mikel LaShore in a couple leagues this week. In one of my leagues, I have Fred Jackson on the bench. And the other league I have, I just picked up Redmond from Pittsburgh. Do you think Redmond's a better start over LaShore?
Yeah, I really like him a lot because, you know what, he's going to be the guy against the Giants. I'm liking him for 80 yards and a touchdown. Mikel LaShore, you know, they're running back by committee over there, and they're going to be passing the ball all day. Fred Jackson is just losing carries to C.J. Spiller, so I'm liking Redmond today.
Yeah, I would take Redmond over LaShore in that league, but I would keep LaShore over Fred Jackson in the other league. So you got a split decision out of me, Elliot.
Awesome. It's the way I was leaning. I just actually picked up Redmond last night, so I wasn't too sure about that.
That's a nice
and then
move.
I have a receiver. I got Antonio Brown, and I just picked up Titus Young off some waivers last week. Do you think Titus Young over Antonio Brown? He hasn't put up any numbers this year.
Yeah, I do. I like Titus Young a lot this week. I like Antonio Brown as a wide receiver 3, but I think Titus Young has got the chance to top out in the bottom end of wide receiver 1 territory. So he's got a lot of upside if you need some points. He's a great play.
Yeah, especially with Calvin, missing practice all week. You don't know how much production we're going to get out of him. Anyway, not that he's been all that great getting in the end zone at all. But Titus Young, great play this week.
Yeah, and the Giants actually have been decent against the pass too.
Yeah,
another consideration there. So,
all right.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you very much.
All right, hey, Elliot, you could catch more of this info. You can go to our website. You can beat the rest of, in all your leagues, you could dominate. Go to our website at kickassfantasyfootball.com and our promo code fantasy. You get half off right now, man.
Yep. Good stuff. All right. Thanks a lot for the call. And let's real quick, we're going to go into our over and under. This is where I'm going to call out a player, going to call out the yardage and what they should do, and just real quick, fire off over or under. All right, so we're going to start out with Manning versus Cincinnati, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Professor?
I'm going to go the over there. I think that he tears apart the Bengals today.
Yeah, I agree. Over all day long.
All right, we got Rodgers versus Arizona, 275 and 2 TDs. Commish?
I'm looking way over that because Arizona is a team tough to run on, but guess what? You can pass all day on them.
I think the Packers get out in the lead early in this game and run the ball a lot, so I'm actually going to take the under on this one.
Oh, all right. Well, we got Vic, your stud of the week there, Commish, versus New Orleans, 275 and 3 TDs. Professor, do you agree?
I'm taking the under on this one, too. I think this is the LaShawn McCoy showcase today.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to go over. I'm going over. I'm liking Vic big time.
All right. Andre Johnson versus Buffalo, 101 yards and a touchdown. What do you think?
I'm going to take the over on that one. I think that this is a game where that Houston passing offense lights it up.
Wow, you know what? I'm going to go over myself. Andre Johnson has been held back quite a bit this year, looking like he's lost a step. He's off a bye. It gets well quick against Buffalo.
You know, I want to jump in here. I think the commission's taken the over on every one of the players today. He is our eternal optimist.
Right,
He's a glass half full guy.
Baby.
All right, Roddy White versus Dallas, 119 yards and a touchdown. Notice I didn't give him 120.
I see that. I'm taking the under on that one. I think the Dallas cornerbacks will keep that passing game in check.
What do you think?
You know what? I'm liking Roddy White a lot because he's home. His play at home has been huge. Where Julio Jones horrible. So guess what? I'm going over again.
Okay. Well, let's do a couple running backs real quick. Foster, 120 yards and a touchdown.
Over.
Over.
All right. Rice, 119 yards and a touchdown.
Over.
Absolutely over.
McCoy, 122 and a touchdown.
He probably just gets the one touchdown, but I think he could have a 150-yard day today.
Wow. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to have to agree. Over.
Well, you did pick over on every single one.
I did.
All right, well, when we come back, we're going to get into our studs, duds, and sleepers. You're listening to the Pick-a-Lillian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show here on 97.3 ESPN.
Fantasy football owners, it's draft time, and kickassfantasyfootball.com makes it easy.
How do we make it easy?
Projections from the experts, cheat sheets with your scoring rules.
What else?
Articles all season long, waiver wire picks, trade advice, everything you need to win a championship.
How about a free judgment from fantasyjudgment.com, a $15 value?
Now we're talking.
Subscribe today for just $9.95 and we'll throw in a complimentary cruise for 2 to the Bahamas.
Cruise to a championship with kickassfantasyfootball.com.
We're famous for our buffalo wings. The Pick-a-Lilly. When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king. The Pick-a-Lilly. Pull up a chair, grab a table, enjoy the atmosphere. Have something good to eat or have yourself a round of cheer. If you can't stop in, stop back. Great food, great drinks where everybody is a friend. You can't stop in, stop back. The Pick-a-Lillian.
If It isn't fall without the famous Piccalilli Inn. Catch all of your favorite football action at the Piccalilli Inn. Check out the Pick's brand new menu featuring homemade buffalo chicken egg rolls, buffalo shrimp, scallops, and the tender Pick Burger. They go great with one of the Pick's ice-cold on-tap beers. Catch every football game at the Pick. Enjoy an awesome meal while you watch your favorite team. The Piccalilli Inn, a Jersey tradition since the 1920s. On Route 206 in Chemong. If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalilli Inn.
Fantasy Football, the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Join the Professor, the Commish, and Fantasy Insider Matt Lowry for the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Got a question? Call us. Who should you start? Who should you trade? Who's great? And who just plain sucks? The Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. On the web at kickassfantasyfootball.com. Yeah, kickassfantasyfootball.com. And every Sunday at 9 a.m.
I felt that one way up here.
Right here on 97.3 ESPN.
And welcome back to the Piccalilli Inn Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Hey, we got just a few minutes left in the show, but if you need any more information, you need some help, check us out online, www.kickassfantasyfootball.com. You can sign up. You get half off with promo code FANTASY. You also got a lot of great free information on there. Check it out. All right, guys, it is time for our studs, duds, and sleepers. Commish, who is your stud of the week?
Let me start by saying I've been rocking it at my stud of the week every week. So good segment to pay
Go
attention to.
Go ahead, pat yourself on the back.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Ray Rice, I'm loving him as my stud.
Well, with
this
a
week.
guy like Ray Rice, it's kind of easy to.
You know what though? He's busted. Guess what? Ray Rice has not been getting it done, guys. Last week he only had 15 carries. His average has been 15 carries. This week he blows up Cleveland. They give up over 125 yards on the ground a week and 2 touchdowns to the running back. He's coming off a bye. Ray Rice has a monster game.
Okay, well, I'm going with Robert Griffin III. Hey, you know what? I picked his kicker as a reach earlier. I think that there's going to be a lot of points in this game. This is a good week for Robert Griffin to get himself back on track. And, he's the number 1 quarterback already, so how much more on track does he need to be?
There you go. All right, Commish, who is your dud of the week?
I hate to say it, but I have to go Doug Martin. He is a great talent, no doubt, but he's down 2 starting guards, which will make it very tough for him to be productive today.
Okay, well, my dud, we've talked about him all show, Calvin Johnson. He is, quote, unquote, expected to play, but he has missed 3 practices this week. The Lions should be well ahead of the Jaguars most of the game. They will only play him if they need him. They aren't going to need him.
All right, and then we got our sleeper of the week. Who is your sleeper of the week, Commish?
I'm going Pierre Thomas. Looks like Sproles is out 4 to 6 weeks. We talked about earlier. He has a broken hand, required surgery. Running backs do catch passes well against the Birds. So Pierre Thomas, my sleeper of the week.
Now, my sleeper, you know what? Everett stole my thunder up earlier in the show. Josh Freeman. He has had a few very good weeks in a row. The Oakland D is not the type of D that's going to break that streak up. If he's your backup, think about starting him. If you need a bye cover, think about getting him into your lineup.
All right, well, we got just a minute or so left in the show, but real quick, it's week 9 in fantasy. There are 5 games left till most fantasy playoffs start in week 14. What kind of moves do fantasy owners need to be making right now if they're not in that cutoff of making the playoffs right now, Professor?
Well, this is the time when you have to look at your roster. If you've had a handful of sleepers on your roster that you're waiting to take off,
right,
it's time to jettison the ones that haven't taken off. And what you do with that spot is you put the handcuffs on. If you've got a running back who has been carrying your team all year, you try and go out and get Ben Tate for your Arian Foster. You try and get the backups in those spots because you need insurance. If you've got a team that's going to finish the season 10-3, you don't want a major injury or two taking you out of the playoffs.
What? That's good stuff there.
Yeah, you know what? I think you need to make sure you're shoring up your bench at this point. You should have a good, your starter should be in place by now if you have a chance of going far in the playoffs. Shore up your bench. Like the professor says, get your handcuffs. And the rest of the way should be well.
Yeah, we're at the 58.5 minute mark now, but we are going to talk a little bit about playoff matchups next week, and so we'll give you some teams to focus on to get a little bit of extra juice there. But definitely get those handcuffs in place and dump the guys that you've been waiting to blow up.
All right, and real quick, got to ask: do the Eagles finally turn the boat around and win this week, Or are they just going to put up some decent fantasy numbers?
You know, Henry's been picking the overall show, so I'm going to go with the under on this one. No.
Do you think they lose again?
I do.
What do you think, Commish?
I think this is it. It's do or die time. I'm going Birds. I bleed green. I got to go Birds.
I bleed green too, but I bleed a lot apparently. So I'm going Saints.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to the Piccalillian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I want to thank the Professor Steve Wynn and the Commish Henry Brick and our kick-ass producer Scott Ewing. I'm your host, Fantasy Insider Matt Lowry, and if you're not playing fantasy football, you're probably spending too much time watching two cute puppies on the Animal Planet.
My wife loves that show.
Exactly. All right. Well, we will see you next week right here on 97.3 ESPN.